Hi YouTube, I've done something really technically clever and I hope you'll be impressed. I've given YouTube my mobile number so that I can talk longer than 20 minutes. Now, for those of you who know me, it could either be a fate worse than death or you could actually enjoy what I've got to say. Either way, thanks for checking this out. I want to talk to you today about some things that have affected me, and I mean really affected me big time. They've affected me so much that I'm sitting here at midnight talking to you. So, if it's morning where you are, feel really lucky that you're watching this after a good night's sleep. That's pertinent for today's video. You'll see why in a minute. I met some people today that I used to know. There were people I knew when I was trans, but they were some of the only people that gave me the time of day. I'd first moved into my new place. I had no real friends, didn't know anybody, had made some mistakes after leaving my hostel, and life was generally pretty difficult. The thing with these people was they were homeless. Some of them still are, and I bumped into them today. But as I just said, they were some of the only people to give me the time of day. Now, as you'll know, unless you live under a rock, there's a massive stigma around homelessness and a lot of prejudice. Many people say, well, why don't they just get a job, or why don't they just find somewhere to live, or why don't they just do this? Now, I've never been homeless, but through their experiences, I've learnt a lot. A heck of a lot. They were some of the only people to give me the time of day when I first moved here into my new place, and for that I'll be eternally grateful. I think the reason why we clicked is because they saw me as a person, and so did I. They didn't see me as a freak, or if they did, this was only how they themselves were perceived too. Through getting to know them more, I realised that many of their problems were caused by cause and effect, i.e. the effects of homelessness were related to the cause. Nobody just becomes homeless. It's not something that just happens for no good reason. Family breakdown, social breakdown, divorce, the anomalies in the care system, indeed transsexuality, are many of the reasons why somebody can become homeless. But so many people in society fail to pay attention to them, and people in their situation are just seen as scum, as a social problem, as something to be swept off the streets and swept off the societal radar, away from view, because it makes uncomfortable viewing, or it's difficult for society to confront. It's difficult for me to confront too. I find it hard to understand in 2012 why homelessness is still a problem. But we are where we are. I spoke to them today, chatted, we shared stories, we had a chat. They told me how life was. And I can tell you something, it's very difficult. But I can relate to that. I'm different too. I'm trans and I'm disabled. I know how it feels to be on the margins. I know how it feels to be excluded. And it's very painful and very difficult. Today also, I met an alcoholic man who I'll call Peter for the protection of his identity. Peter told me that he was going into rehab tomorrow for alcoholism after divorce. Obviously and naturally, I wish him every success. But I was also concerned that Peter cared more about me than he cared about himself and his chances of success on the rehab program. I remonstrated with him for quite some time. I told him he had to care about himself, because while his caring about me is very noble, it's not going to turn his life around. I told him that he had to believe that he could do it, and that I believed he could do it. In the end, he cried. He told me that he didn't care about himself, and he cared about me more, and he would swap places with me gladly, with him in the chair and me with my able-bodiedness. But neither is a good solution, because I'd still be trans, so it doesn't remove social exclusion, and I wouldn't be who I am anymore. Now obviously I know I'm more than a disability, but it influences a large part of the way I think and the way I feel. And while some of that can be negative periodically, it can also be positive. But I also empathise with Peter, in the sense that it's very difficult to care about yourself sometimes. Because here's the rub. That's how I used to feel. I didn't used to care about myself either. I didn't used to value my own life. And it wasn't until the hard work in counselling really began, and my counsellor really upped the congruence, as she calls it, that I really began to value my own life and to take responsibility for the direction my life was going in. I'm not saying it's easy, in fact, it's very difficult. But that I believe that Peter can do it. I always believe that Peter can do it. And I will always believe in him. And I told him that if I was to see him on the streets in the next 12 weeks, because that's how long the rehab program is, I'd come after him with my wheels. And I will. He cried on me when I said that. He said thank you, and he actually sang me the words to Bruno Mars, "Just the Way You Are." Now, I may not be amazing on my own, but I think everybody's amazing. I think people are amazing. Remarkable, beautiful creations. That includes everybody. From the homeless to the non-homeless to royalty, everybody. But everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a reason why they are the way they are. And I think it's too tempting sometimes just to walk by on the other side and pretend it doesn't concern us. The people who I met today, along with others, gave me the hand of friendship when I most needed it. They reached out to me in ways that very few people could. And it would be very hypocritical of me if I was just to turn my back on that part of my life now and erase it conveniently as though it didn't exist. I did some things I'm not proud of. I had a very difficult time back then. I can tell you myself that being in a wheelchair does not make you an angel, and neither does being trans. What it does is make you painfully and completely human. I'm not saying that the rest of the world is constituted of aliens. What I am saying is that it's very difficult to be yourself if you don't embrace your humanity and own it. That includes your flaws. That is why for Pete in this rehab program, he has a long, hard, difficult, rocky road ahead. But I believe he can do it. And I believe he owes it to himself to do it. Because confidence is worth it. Confidence in yourself and love of the self is worth it. Confidence is maybe being slightly fearful of the outcome, of what's on the other side, but going ahead and doing it anyway. That's what I think confidence is. And the other thing I wanted to touch upon, if I can, is cosmetics. I have some imperfections that I'd like to iron out. I know many transsexuals, and some of them have had some cosmetic work done. But they didn't have it done because they thought it would be a catch-all, a one-stop solution to all their problems. No. They had it done because they were already confident and believed that it would make their lives better. And that is the position I find myself in now. So, over the next few weeks, I'm going to do something about that. I don't think it'd be right and proper to reveal that on the blog or on the vlog here and now. But you'll see if you keep in touch with my Facebook page or on my vlog, on my blog rather, flyingontherainbow.com. You'll see what I'm going to do. But I love myself. I believe I'm worth it. And that is what the message I want everybody to believe is. I believe that everybody is worth it. I believe that whether in the midst of alcohol addiction, drug addiction, or whatever, somebody is worth it. Because at the end of the day, if I hadn't turned that corner, if I had stayed stuck in the place I was in, I don't think I'd be here now. And that's not just me being melodramatic and poncing about for a video. That is me telling you the absolute truth from my heart. And it is thanks to the strength of people around me that I'm still here. And in no small part to my own strength too, for responding to them and believing that what they were saying was true. So today has been a day of thought. a day of reflection, a day of emotion and much sadness. A day of sadness at the judgmental nature of society, that some people don't really understand what's going on with some people, and moreover that they don't really care. A day of empathy in trying to understand my friends' positions, listening to them, being there for them, bringing some brightness to Pete's day that I was glad I could bring. And a day of compassion, a day of caring about other people as well as caring about myself, and imparting that to others. If Pete wants to have any kind of success in his rehab program, he will have to learn to care about himself. I believe he's worth it, and he needs to too. Because at the end of the day, we're all worth it. We all have a beating heart. We all have a mind. We all have a conscience. And I believe that everybody deserves a chance. A second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance. Chance is infinite. Because even though my life's sorted, even though my life feels more sorted than it was, I know how easy it would be to slip back into those old ways and the things I did. But I don't do it not because I'm superhuman, but because I'm a human who believes in myself. Thanks for watching. Bye.